Hi friends, I'm Abby and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing my anticipated releases for October, November and December. So chatting through 10 releases for the final quarter of this year. This is a video series that I've been doing for a little while now, so I linked the playlist and the installments from the first 9 months of the year. And let's just dive right in. So the bulk of my anticipated releases are coming out in November. So October and December are actually pretty sparse because November seems to be the month, but in October we do have 2 new releases that I am anticipating. The first one being A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. This actually came out in 2021 and was self-published, but has been picked up by Orbit and is being republished on the 6th of October. So this is a story following one of Dracula's brides, and it is a, I guess, reimagining of her life and the circumstances that she gets placed in. I believe this is written in an epistolary style and is in second person, so writing to you. And it is following her and her relationship with Dracula and also with this other man that gets brought into the mix and her finding, I guess, her place in this relationship. I don't know how actually romantic it is or if it leans more on the horror side of things. The darkness of Dracula, intriguing. And I've generally only seen very positive reviews, at least for the self-published version. And I don't know how much it's changed between the self-published and the print final version that's been now edited and put out by a traditional publisher, but anticipated nonetheless. And then on the 25th of October, The Atlas Paradox comes out. This is the second book in the Atlas series by Olivia Blake. So I've read the Atlas 6, the first book in this trilogy. So obviously I'm anticipating the second book. I have ordered the Fairy Loot edition for this so it can match my book 1. But I am planning to delay reading this one, I think, until the third book has a release date, and then I can sort of reread the first book because I read the self-published edition, so I want to reread with the final edition. And the first book in this series, you are following 6 characters in a dark academia setting of the Alexandrian society, and in this world it is magic exists and these characters have magic and they each have their different skill set, and it's not really explored that much what the magic is. It is more just explored in the learning of what they are doing, and these 6 characters going into this year at the Alexandrian Society, knowing that only 5 can continue to the second year, and seeing how they get along and their personalities. Definitely intrigued to see where the Atlas Paradox goes based on where the Atlas 6 finished. And now moving into November, where the releases just come thick and fast. So on the 1st of November, The Luminaries comes out by Susan Dennard. That is the US release date. I believe this isn't actually coming out until January in the UK. Although like the Kindle edition's coming out then, but not the print format. So I don't think I will necessarily be able to get my hands on it, but it will be out for those of you in the US. And so I believe that this is a contemporary fantasy set in this town called Hemlock Falls, and we're following a main character, Winnie Wednesday, who is wanting to join the Luminaries society. And the Luminaries protect the town from monsters and nightmares and danger that rides up in the forest that surround it. And she feels as though she needs to reclaim her family's name after her father was exposed as a witch and a traitor. And so she wants to take this test to become a luminary, which is a hunter for these monsters, and go through these trials to restore her family's good name. And I'm not too sure where it goes from there, but we will find out. I do really like the cover. It looks really dark and a bit gruesome, so I'm wondering how like dark and scary these monsters in this forest are going to actually be. I typically prefer my fantasies to be in a fantasy world as opposed to a contemporary world, but we shall see. And I don't know if this is more young adult or where this falls in terms of its age demographic. And then on the 3rd of November, Ocean's Echo by Everina Maxwell comes out. This is her second book. So I read her first book, Winter's Orbit, last year, and I really liked it. It was quite a lot of fun. It's a mixture between sci-fi and romance, and I believe this goes along the same vein, that it combines elements of sci-fi and with a romantic plotline. From having spoken to Angela at Literature Science Alliance, she has said that this is predominantly a sci-fi with a romantic subplot, so don't go in expecting it to be a romance in space. And I think you get 2 different types of people. You get readers and you get architects, and they're able to have different magical powers. So a reader can read minds, and an architect can impose their will on other people. And I think our two main characters that come together are able to do one of these skills each, and it's set in the same world as Winter's Orbit. I don't know if there's any overlap or if it's more that they're just set in the same area. I feel like, based on my enjoyment of her first book, that I will also like this one. Then on the 10th of November, Heart of the Sun Warrior comes out. This is the sequel to Daughter of the Moon Goddess, which I have not read yet, but I feel like I'm going to really like it. So hopefully this isn't, I'm not jumping the gun too much by putting the sequel on here. Daughter of the Moon Goddess, we're following the daughter of the Moon Goddess, and she has been raised away from the Celestial Empire, but at the start of the book she ends up there training alongside the Prince of the Emperor with a mission to try and save her mother, who has been captured or has gone missing, and finding her place in this world. And I think there is a sort of fantasy romantic plotline that goes on. I have not looked at all into the description of the sequel, because I do believe that people have said that the first book wraps up quite well, so I don't know if this one is more of a companion or more of a direct sequel, but either way, excited to give it a read as long as I enjoy the first book. Then on the 15th of November, The Lost Metal comes out, the fourth and final book in the Mistborn Era 2 by Brandon Sanderson. This is Brandon Sanderson's latest release, and highly anticipated because it's been quite a while since Era 2 had an instalment in it. I am currently rereading and reading the rest of the series, so I have reread Alley of Law and Shadows of Self, and I am ready to read for the first time Bands of Mourning, and then hopefully be on track to read this on the 15th of November when it comes out. In this, you are following Wax and Wayne as they work on cases and solve murders within the city of Ellendale, which generally incorporate bits of the magic system within the Mistborn world. So definitely intrigued to see where the third book goes and where this fourth book ends up going. Then on the 29th of November, we have two releases coming out. There is Alone with You in the Ether, which is by Olivia Blake. So the only author that has two books coming out in this quarter. Alone with You in the Ether, actually, like A Dowry of Blood, was self-published and has been republished by Tor. So it has been redone again. I don't know how much as well that this one has been re-edited since it was self-published. This one, unlike the Atlas 6, is a contemporary, and I think it is more of a love story between two people. So the tagline of it is, from Olivia Blake comes an intimate and contemporary study of the time, space and nature of love. Alone with You in the Ether explores what it means to be unwell and how to face the fractures of yourself and still love as if you're not broken. So it sounds quite hard-hitting, maybe it would make me cry, but having enjoyed the Atlas 6, I feel like I'm definitely intrigued to see what this is like. Although it is not in my normal ballpark of things because it is a contemporary, but and not fantasy, but still intrigued. And I've maybe as well that I really like the blue on the cover. Like, it's a very pretty blue. It's a really pretty blue. And then also on that date is The Lonesome Crown by Brian Lee Durfee. This is the third and final book in the Five Warrior Angels series. I've read the first two, The Forgetting Moon and The Blackest Heart, by him last year. And I'm very excited to see where this finishes and the finale, where it all goes. I do think I need to reread those two books, which is why I'm not planning to get to it by the end of the year, I don't think, because the first two books are massive. They're very large, if you can see them behind me. Like they're quite big, so they're not something that I could just easily squeeze into any TBR. And I expect the third book is also going to be just as big. I do think I need to reread those and then I can get to this third book, but I am very highly anticipating it. I'm very intrigued to see where these characters go. I did love those first two books. It's a multi-perspective story set in this quite dark world, and it's just got loads and loads of like elements within fantasy that I thoroughly enjoy reading about. So you've got like secret passageways in this castle, you've got these, you just don't know who you're going to trust, you have lost air, you have magic, you have different creatures, you have assassins, you've got lost artifacts, you've got prophecy. It's got so many elements that I love reading about, and so I'm very excited to see where this third and final book is going to take us. So that is November. That is all. That's the massiveness of the November releases, the just constantness of them. And then in December I do have two books coming out that I am anticipating. So we have A Fire Endless by Rebecca Ross. This is the sequel to A River Enchanted, which came out earlier this year, which I haven't read yet, but I am definitely interested in. And A River Enchanted is a Scottish-inspired story, and I think you're following two characters as they investigate a missing person on these isles, and I think there are spirits involved as well. I think I've heard some quite mixed reviews, but I feel as though it's going to work for me. Anyway, I am anticipating that, and I'm looking forward to reading it as long as I enjoy that first book. And then the final book that I have that's coming out in November, again on the 6th, is Anastasia by Sophie Lark. So this is a Anastasia retelling. I have read one of her mafia romances, Brutal Prince, so the first book in, I think, her overarching like mafia romance series, and I do intend to keep going with it. I don't know why I haven't. I feel as though I need to be in the mood for that sort of thing, and I just haven't really been in that mood. But I figure that those are going to be good books to like intersperse in when I'm just in the mood for a sort of dark romance. She is coming out with an Anastasia retelling. And I remember loving the Anastasia film growing up as a kid. It's one of the dark animated movies. And so I've always been intrigued by that tale. And so I'd be interested to see her take on it. I believe it will go down more of the romantic route, based on what she's written previously, which is the mafia romances, and I think she's also written like a serial killer romance as well. There are the words. I was like, it begins with an S. So interested to see what she does with the Anastasia tale. Those are 10 anticipated releases I have for the final 3 months of the year. Let me know if there are any anticipated releases that you have that I have not mentioned here, so that I can put them on my radar. And thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my future videos. Bye!